Hello. I am, I guess, live. That's exciting. We are here to do some writing sprints before I get to actual working today. I'm still trying to figure out when we're going to be doing them this week. Luckily enough, I only have 2 days this week that I'm working. Actually, is it one day that I'm working 8 hours? That's probably how they got me. Let's go find out. And then we'll talk about what I'm working on with you guys. As you guys do know, mostly it's going to be Broken Boys, but I might switch it up in the middle. Who knows? It could be like a fun little thing. But let's see here. My schedule, fun fact, fun story, changed like 5 times this week, which is just so fucking annoying. I was off for a whole week and now I'm not, and yeah, it's almost. All right, so tomorrow, which is Monday, I work from 9:30 to 6, so unless we do like a really early morning live stream and I wake up way before that, it should be possible I could be going to bed a little bit earlier. So we're not going to deny it. Sorry about the lag. My computer's trying to open Spotify. But not like the app, because the app lags more than the actual thing does. So yeah, don't worry about that. Let's see here. But Wednesday we should be morning sprint as well. Thursday we should be fine. And Friday, because I only work 10 to 2 for the rest of the week. Or no, except for that. Oh, I mean 10 to 2s. Those we might have to do like an afternoon sprint. But Wednesday, yeah, because like it's just crazy. I'll tell you, it's just crazy. My fucking work schedule is just insane. Either way, we are using the Forest app, which is also very exciting. I'm very happy about that, and I am working on Broken Boys, which I have some updates to tell you about, so I'm pretty excited to have this kind of like first conversation. We jump in. I'm saying probably at the 5-minute mark, we'll jump into a 25-minute sprint. Once again, I'm somebody who likes to work with longer sprints, as I need to be in my story longer than 10 minutes, or I'm not going to get anything done. And so it's going to be a 25-minute sprint, and then we're going to do a 3-minute break, and then another 25-minute sprint. And depending on what time it is, by those sprints are over, will determine if we do a third sprint. Okay. That's how these work. I'll explain a little later as well, in case anybody pops up or anything like that. Anybody new pops up or anything. But I'm working on Broken Boys, which is a first draft I finished back in February, and I'm still trying to work through a second draft. We are making tremendous progress, though, as we are at 20,000 words. Also, we're blogging this week. How exciting is that? I find it to be very exciting. For writing in particular, we have a reading vlog going, or my weekly vlog, but it's going to be a separate vlog. 2 vlogs next week. It's not a problem. And it's going to be an overarching one for draft 2. I'm also recording certain clips and stuff for the overarching draft 2 vlog, which will come out whenever this is done. But we're at 20,000 words, which means we are at 1/5? Yeah, 1/5 of the way through. Yeah, we're like 15% in or something. I don't know if it's 100,000 words. It's very interesting. This book has gone through some major changes since the last time we talked. I think the last time we talked, I realized that we're going to be switching tenses, and my mind has been blown, and like so many words are popping out on me. It's insane. And so like, yeah, figure that out, guys. If you're having struggles, maybe it's the tense. Like the first 15,000 words or something like that, sure, or not. They're not in the right tense. I still enjoy some of those passages though, but it's like, it's okay. But now I can go through and I'm editing the book more closely, the first draft, which some people don't think it's a good idea, but I'm okay with it. My first drafts are never like the worst shit in the world. They're not great shit, but like it's not the worst shit. So like it's been pretty okay. I have my draft notes. I have my notes that are written throughout the story. And also, a big change has happened that I'm pretty sure we're going to go forward with, and that is the second half of this novel, as it ends on a halfway mark cliffhanger. The second half of this novel is taking place completely in a different timeline, which is weird, but it's going to work really nicely, I have a feeling. So that's really exciting. I'm very excited to jump back into it. I got all my drafts chapters. If you guys don't know, when you format a book through Adobe, the way that I learned was doing it individual chapter-wise, which is interesting in itself. But and so I have copies of all these already first edited draft chapters. as this is an edited book on top of another round of edits. Um, so technically, I guess you can count this as like draft 2, but there's so many changes going to happen. It's like, I guess it is. We're working on draft 3. I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me. Anyway, I have a whole copy of them, and so now they're in my draft 2 file on Scrivener, so I don't have to keep jumping back and forth between like 4 different documents or whatever. They can be on display screens. It's so exciting, so much easier to work with, and things like that. But let's go ahead and get started with our first sprint. I'm very, very excited. I am going to be muting myself because I'm going to be listening to music to kind of get into the groove. And then also if I get to a scene where I can jump in and grab material I've already written or work off the material I've already written or whatever it might be, I read through all that material just to see if there's anything in there I want to grab. So I don't want to bore you guys with my talking and distract you while we work together. So let's go ahead and get started with the first writing sprint. And once again, I am using the Forest app. You guys have the Forest app, and you guys want to join the next one we can join together. We have talked about this before. Kate was the first person, Kate's Book Dates was the first person to see do this on a live stream. I haven't watched many of these anymore as I just have not had time to sit down to be a part of them unless I'm doing them. I watched hers because I want to be productive, and she's my favorite booktubers. And I really like the idea of being in a room together, growing a tree together, and that type of thing. So if that's something you guys want to incorporate, let me know in the chat, and I can always put a room thingy up there. But that being said, here, I'll go back to bigger me. Can you guys see that? Kinda. I'm growing a unicorn because like we on brand. But you can grow whatever you want. I actually have not even looked, and personally, I have an achievement in here. I haven't even looked and see if I could like get new ones, but like I just want to do the unicorn. Okay. Alrighty, let's get to writing. All right. 3, 2, 1. Right, I'm gonna mute myself. I hope you guys have a great time, and I probably won't be too much in the chat, but I will definitely read them when I get back in case you guys have anything you guys want to talk about. Okay, first sprint is done. Let me make myself big. Oh, Jojo, move. Okay, and then we'll get rid of the banner. And at 35, 36 minutes, we'll start the second sprint. And depending on how much time I have, because I have a lot of work to do today, will determine if there will be a third sprint or not, as these live streams are only supposed to be about an hour and a half. But Apocalyptic was asking if I could talk about some of the things I'm really liking or looking forward for Broken Boys Draft 2. And like I mentioned in my last live stream, I have realized that the first 10,000 ish words were written in a wrong tense, which can be a very bad thing, especially a very annoying thing. I would say one of my biggest struggles in writing in general is tenses, which is really weird, but I never seem to be able to get them right. I get really confused in just verbiage and just general wording and sentence structures and stuff like that when it comes to specific tenses and things. And so the first 10,000 words is mostly written in past tense, except for a few scenes that I just probably fucked up. But now it's currently back in the present tense, which is what the majority of the first draft was written in. There's certain sections in here that are written in past tense. I have no idea why, but that's just how my writing goes. That's why you have a second draft. So it would be a third draft when I go back and I would fix the first 10,000 words. As I'm not entirely sure here, I want to give probably the second draft to probably myself, and then do a third draft and then start giving it to people because there's so much new material that are being interplaced. So we have that, which was exciting, and it really was a game changer. As like I was stuck at the first like 10 to 12,000 words, and now we're sitting at 20,000 words. About to be 21,000 words. I'm probably gonna hit 23,000 words before the end of the day on the draft, and it's because of the fact that I changed tenses, which is weird, but it's just one of those moments. Well, that's okay. 30 words better than 0 words. I got a total of 495 words, as that last scene was a completely new scene, which I don't get to write very often at the moment in the first half of this book, is there's a lot of scenes that are just like more of like editing them to make them better, because they're very similar to the original first draft, up to a certain point. So going forward, I won't be telling you guys how many words I write because it's going to be a lie because I'm not going to know. As this next scene that I'm editing is like 600 words or something like that. So it's a lot of me talking to myself and writing some new ones. But it works really well for my word counter. So that's all that matters. What else is there? Oh, I had a dream, which I've had a few here lately that gave me like story ideas in general. And like I want to make this whole short story collection on really, really weird horror pieces. And I've never had that dream. If I didn't have the dream, I would never know that. Either way. And one of those was for Broken Boys because I've been really stuck on the second half of it, which is new. It's all new words. It's all going to be new words. And originally we were just going to continue on the story on the same exact timeline. But now I think we're just going to be this like huge time jump in between the first half and the second half, which I think will be really, really nice and really change things up. And I really, really have been enjoying stories, romance in particular, that are written that way or that go across several years of time, and some being over a course of how do you pick names for your characters? I have about 40 characters. I need names, LMAO. There's a few different ways I pick characters for names. Some of them come to me right away, like Ethan. I always it just seemed to be like a thing that I knew. Other ones I go through baby names and I just start placing them together. Some names, for instance, in Church of Samuel, as I was reading through it, there were still names that I did not name. I was like, oh, insert this name here. And I was like, oh, great. Hopefully I didn't put that anywhere else. I'm just going to change it right now. And hopefully, it's the same name throughout the whole story. I go through baby names. There is, if you have Scribner, there's a name generator processing in there that you can use. But I always the names are always dependent on the type of character that I'm writing. I look for very specific names. Middle Eastern characters, we look for very specific names for those and that type of thing. Just trying to keep it as organic as possible. So once you know your characters, the names will start popping out at you. You just don't want them to keep sounding familiar. Like the problem with Ethan and Adam is that like they're way too similar names, and so I'm pretty sure one of them will have to change at some point. But they're good placeholders at the moment. Oh, God, that sucks. Yeah, but names have always been a struggle in general, but that's what I tend to do. I guess naming a lot of my Sims has really helped is that you kind of just go with the flow. And yeah, it's unlike like with Church of Samuel, for instance, the main character's name is Abel, and that was very specifically chosen based on a Bible verse, unlike most things. Yeah, that one has a very clear path, but most of my characters' names do not. Which I find. And I think a lot of people do struggle with names. I think that's a bigger one. Like the one thing I've always been good at, which I've talked about, is story structure in general. I'm pretty good at structuring a story. It's everything else in the middle that just gets all scrambled. But that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into our second 25-minute sprint. And then probably that will be the last one. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, to be honest with you, what it comes out to be. We will chat before we get off, but I have all the YouTube stuff I have to film today, and that's a lot of filming. So it's a struggle house. Okay, so I'm still using the Forest app, which is really good. You have planted. I've done it for 50 minutes today because I did do it this morning before I went to bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I got some words in then. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and mute myself as I'm talking out loud for this scene. Just giving you guys heads up. Also, might not be in the chat because of such. Let's go ahead and get started. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Let's have, we'll have a sequel. If so, how do you know when the cutoff point is? Oh, that's such a good question. Hold on. I can't kill this tree. We'll start the second sprint in a second because I want to answer that question because that's such a good question that we have to answer it, and then we'll get started. Okay, so is Rogue Moist a standalone, or we'll have it? It was originally going to be a duology, equaling why the first like round of its cover, like its fake cover, so I can have a proof copy of it, had part 1 in it, as it was. When I first came to the story, it was a full-fledged story between the freshman year of our main character's college life. But by the end of this, I was so like you get into this imposter syndrome, and then 70,000 words in, you're like, I'm over this shit, and so you cancel it. And that's basically what I did. And so I jam-packed the last 30, 40,000 words in 20, and it's a mess. The last, I'd say, probably from like right here onwards, it's a whole jumbled mess. Now it's gonna be a standalone, as they tend to sell better. This is hopefully to be a traditionally published story, and I do have to go along with the world of the publishing houses. So to be a single story, but I'm not sure. I want to make it a duology. And I think that's a really hard thing to come to. And which brings you to your second question is, so how do you know when to cut the point? Is your story 1 and start 2? I have written a I've written a few series in my time. It's very interesting. More than likely you want to end it. See, I always go with more natural feeling. When a full character has its completed story arc for that one particular story, that seems to be the end. Anything past that seems to be like it's kind of dragging, or like we don't really need to know that unless it's like an epilogue or something, as to give the characters more closure. Also, like if you're in the middle of something, like for instance, when Elizabeth Snow was one like 3 books, it would always end on a very big cliffhangery moment, and then we would jump into the second story and it would start right away. It's just more like when your story seems wrapped up in a condensed one story, but can be expanded onto a second one. That's the best way I know how to describe it. For instance, with this one, how I would know is for Broken Boys, if it was going to be a duology like it was at one point, this is one semester, next one would have been the second semester. Or in this case, it's a little different, but still. Now I just think the story works better and flows better, and there's a lot of character arcs and things that needs both semesters, and so it's a one story instead of two, because the arcs were half done. They need a little more fleshing out, which means it needs a little more time and a little more details and things, equaling it to be a longer but better story. A perfectly good example, I think, of knowing when to cut something was I read Pistol Daisy by Talia Lee. It's a very, very short, 140-page book, but it didn't overstay its welcome. I don't tend to like short stories. I thought the pacing was a little weird, but overall really good. So my story is a Snow White retelling. Book 1 is killing Snow White, and it ends with a end of a large battle and finding out she's alive cliffhanger. Yeah, something like that. That sounds great. Um, and the second book would pick up with, the fallout of the fact that she is alive and the cliffhangers and things like that. I think overall that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, and it's when she's killed. Oh, very interesting. I am very curious to read this. By the way, I love me a good fairy tale. You know, reworking. So I'm all about that. That sounds amazing. Very curious just overall to see kind of how it's all done in general. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would say that's probably a good spot. And then if you don't believe that they should be two separate stories because you think her living and dying should be in one story, that can of course be the middle point, and then the second half could be the other half. It's more based on your preference and how you personally feel, or when somebody else reads it and you give it to somebody else to read, they can tend to point out, hey, it seems like it went on too long. This should be something completely different. I've had that happen to me before where I wrote like a 80,000 word draft and they're like, 60,000 of these words were great. The last 20 seems like if you want to continue on with the story, it doesn't really belong here, but it could belong somewhere else. I've had that happen to me in the past. My mom's a cruel one, that one. Okay, with that being said, though, great question, though. Excellent, excellent, complex question because it's hard to really determine on anybody's standpoints. But we really do need to start that second sprint, so I'm going to go ahead and get on started. And thank you for the question, though. And also, like I said, your story sounds amazing, and I would love to read it as I am a sucker for retellings. A sucker. All right, let's go ahead and open up this timer. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My phone will just go off when it wants to. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. I hope you guys have a great sprint, and I hope you guys get plenty of words. Maybe you'll be able to finish it. I don't know. I don't know how far you are. I don't know how far you are in your third act, but that'd be really cool. All right, let's get going. So, as you guys can tell, I had a conundrum. If you guys are reading the comments, I had a conundrum. Um, so, yesterday I came to the first official kissing scene, which was in like chapter 9, I want to say, of the first draft. Yes, it was in chapter 9. But that was also. I don't know what that means. Oh, God, I forgot to turn off the banner. Like Australia fanfic? I've written a fanfic before. It is on Wattpad. I'm not going to tell you my name, though. It's not the Wattpad that's listed in my other one. Nope. My YouTube page, link down below. Not the same Wattpad. It's a different one. But it was like in chapter 9 or whatever. I'm going to tell you guys a little spoiler that happens in the book because, like, you never know. It could get cut out in later things or whatever. Still debating. He ends up getting drugged at his first party. Not like on purpose, but also like on purpose. It was like a friend of his who does it. It's a whole thing. And there were so many factors that came into this whole idea of it because it was one of those ideas that just happened while I was writing, and then I had to go back and move things because of it. Oh, alternate universe. Got you. That makes more sense than Australia. Yes. Now I understand what you were saying. I get it now. And it hit me. And so, yeah, and they kiss, and I still thought it was pretty bad because he still was under the influence, but like he was like under the influence. And so I took it out of this draft. Also, it's like it's not angsty enough, you know what I mean? It's not angsty enough. But I'm not sure when is the good time. I think we're just gonna do the cute datesy stuff that happens a little bit later on. Because it's a romance spoiler. But there's other factors and stuff, the whole reason why, and things. So, yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But that being said, guys, how'd you guys do? Let me know. I can't really tell you how I did, since I'm still editing a big portion of this. Let's see here, right here. I'll mark that for later, Jacob, to find. Because a lot of the later half of the words and stuff, because it says I wrote 2,715 words, but I know that's a lie because like a lot of that was already written words that I'm just copying, editing it just right word count wise. Just trying to hit a draft word count. But at the moment we're at 23,000 words. So, that's fine. No one's complaining. All right, I think we are going to end the broadcast here, the sprints here. Like I said, I have other work I do. I have my sister move something. I also need to eat. So we're going to end it here. But I had a lot of fun. And tomorrow, probably, unless I wake up super early, probably not going to have one. But the rest of the week, keep your eyes peeled and things for some morning to mid-afternoon sprints. So pretty excited. But thank you guys for all showing up and things, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I do want to mention I am planning on streaming on Twitch later. It's Jacob's Here YT over there. In case like you wanted to see me play The Sims, you don't have to, but like it's there.